Today I have with me David Johnson, the Seminole County Property Appraiser, up for re-election next month. David has been a longtime supporter of Habitat Seminole Apopka and former board member. He has also taught our civic engagement classes to our homeowners, so I brought him here today to bring some of that civic engagement to video to all of our viewers. Thank you so much for being here, David.
Well, thank you for having me. I always enjoy this organization. I've always said it's the best thing I've ever did as far as volunteer work, because I really believe in the mission and appreciate the opportunity to share some information today also.
There's always so much buzz about the presidential election, but state, city, and county elections are just as important. Can you tell us why?
Absolutely. In fact, all elections are important, obviously, but I think that state, local elections have a bigger impact on our daily life than even the national elections. Certainly, national elections, overall security and stuff, but as far as a quality of life issue, our local elections are very, very important. And the reason being, that's where a lot of the decisions are made about school funding, about how many parks, what kind of road system we have. Those types of things are made at the local level, and it's very, very important that people are engaged in that process. Absolutely. I'm going to just give you a really brief synopsis of what the amendments are, and then we're going to, at the end, have some information where they can go get additional information. So the first amendment is a citizenship for voting. Essentially what the Florida Constitution currently says that every citizen that is registered to vote can vote. This says that only citizens can vote. It's a very technical type of amendment, but again, do some additional research on that to make your decision. The second amendment, a lot of folks maybe have heard about this one. This is the minimum wage amendment. And what this does is it takes the minimum wage in Florida to $15 an hour by the year 2026. And so, again, the pros and cons with each one of these amendments. So, again, get some information to make an informed vote. The third amendment's a little bit more complicated. Currently in Florida, when you have a primary, Republicans vote in one primary and Democrats vote in the other primary. What this amendment does is it says we're going to get rid of Republican and Democratic primaries, and we're just going to have one primary, and the top two vote getters go to the general election in November. So it's a change in process a little bit. So again, additional research is needed. The fourth amendment is, I call it Are You Sure Amendment. So currently, to change the state constitution, you vote, and it takes 60% of the vote to make a change. This amendment says if it passes, those rules stay in effect also, but you're going to go to vote again. We're going to really make sure that you wanted to change the Constitution. So you're going to basically have to vote twice to change the Constitution. The Fifth Amendment actually affects what I do here in my office, and certainly affects someone with property taxes. Currently, if you have a homestead exemption, which of course we've talked about in the civic engagement classes with Habitat, and most folks do, when you sell your home, you're able to take those savings with you from your current home to your new home. But there's a time limit on that right now. It's 2 years. What this amendment does is it says, let's take it from 2 years to 3 years. And the reason for that is there have been some instances where people have fallen through the cracks. They didn't quite get there in 2 years. So this will help give a little bit more time for folks to make that decision on what they want to do. And then the Sixth Amendment is currently, along with homestead exemption, there's another benefit that's out there for veterans, people who were injured during war or in service. And currently, if they get that exemption, when they pass away, their surviving spouse does not get to keep that exemption. What this amendment does is it says the surviving spouse continues with the exemption from the veteran until they sell the home or they get remarried. So those are the 6 amendments in a real quick synopsis. In the Florida Constitution, there is an exemption, it's called the homestead exemption, and it allows for a $50,000 reduction in the amount of value of your property, which saves about $600 to $700 a year in property taxes. And the way you qualify for a homestead exemption in Florida is the home has to be your primary residence, and you have to own it by the first of the year. And the other thing that it does is it protects how much the value can go up from year to year. And it's either 3% or the consumer price index, whichever is less. It protects property owners from having huge increases in their property tax. And only people, the voter, can change the Constitution. Legislators, county commissioners, those types of folks cannot change the Constitution. Only people can do that. So every time we want to make a change to one of those very important exemptions, people have to go to the polls and make an informed decision. The Supervisor of Elections office here in Seminole County and the other counties across the state will have voting locations and the time of the polls open and that type of stuff. You also will receive a sample ballot from the Supervisor of Elections. So when you get to the polls, you will know what's going to be on your ballot so you can make some informed decisions. And again, there's some sites like the Legal Women Voters site where you can get information about these amendments. And also, I would also advise even the Orlando Sentinel, for example, has done a lot of candidate interviews, and they have their views on different issues. And they've made some endorsements, but that doesn't mean that you have to follow those endorsements. But there's a good source of information to be informed, and that's the most important thing: is to be an informed voter.
And remember, together we're building community.
One civic engagement at a time.
One video at a time.